On the 22nd of March, the world will be celebrating the World Water Day. Without water, life wouldn't exist. It is a prerequisite for all human and economic development. Yet, there are 783 million people worldwide, about 1 in 9, who lack access to clean water. Although water is a renewable resource, it's also a finite one. Only 2.53% of Earth's water is fresh, and some 2/3 of that is locked up in glaciers and permanent snow cover. On top of this, climate change is negatively impacting the amount of available fresh water supply. The evolution of the water quality and the levels of pollution are also worrying. The world's lakes, rivers and groundwater, oceans, seas, our precious resources are getting seriously polluted, and you will never imagine what can be found in it. From pesticides, heavy metals, acids, medicinal substances and hydrocarbons, mainly due to oil spills and illegal degassing, to plastic waste, viruses, bacteria, parasites and organic matters. But despite the very real danger of future global water shortages, for the vast majority of the nearly 1 billion people without safe drinking water, today's water crisis is not an issue of scarcity, but of access. On the one hand, in the city, residents have access to potable water systems. But this doesn't mean that there cannot be environmental impacts linked to collecting, treating, storing and transporting produced water. Indeed, there can be spills and leaks, unknown chemical mixtures from injection wells, and air emissions from the required treatment. There are different methods to bring water to residents when there aren't fresh water sources. Different desalination systems exist. Unfortunately, these have many disadvantages. It's high energy cost, there are chemical releases, and increased soil and sea salt levels. On the other hand, in little villages, in rural areas, the only alternative for residents is the water of the pond, with consequences that we know in terms of infant mortality and diarrheal diseases. Until they get a little help. Mille et une fontaines pour demain is a non-for-profit organization that funds installation of treatment units that produce safe drinking water, which is then bottled and distributed to isolated populations. They base their projects on 3 pillars. The ability to guarantee the quality of the water right through to the homes of the beneficiaries is a key success factor in the sustainability of a water purification unit and an essential part of this model. At every stage, the team follows a rigorous process. An autonomous water treatment unit installed in each village adapted to the available resources. Weekly bacteriological analysis to control the quality of the water. The water is delivered to the beneficiaries' homes in 20-liter containers that have been disinfected and heat-sealed. A controlled number of silver ions are added to the water to provide residual protection. This solution relies on simple technology to purify local available water from ponds, rivers, etc. in 3 stages: coagulation and flocculation, filtration and microfiltration, and purification through exposure to ultraviolet rays. Thanks to this simple process and the model implemented, the operators are able to guarantee drinking water for everyone. Using the water from the ponds is better than sourcing it from groundwater, becoming increasingly rare. The aim is to propose a retail price that is sufficiently low that the villagers can afford to buy the bottled drinking water, but which nevertheless enables the operator and his family to make a living from their activity and ensure the proper maintenance of the production unit, to help more people and the most vulnerable. The supply of water to a village is ensured by local operators who are trained and motivated to be entrepreneurs at the service of their communities. In order to make safe drinking water accessible to as many people in need as possible, the model must be one that can easily be replicated from village to village, from region to region, and even from one country to another, taking into account relevant socio-cultural adaptations. The organization seeks to develop as many skills as possible at local level. The first project started in Cambodia in 2005, supported by François, Jaquenoud, and driven by Chay, a Cambodian engineer who studied in France and co-founded the non-for-profit organization. Around 60 safe drinking water production sites have been created, mainly in the northwest part, in collaboration with local partner Teuxat 1001. 7 production sites in Madagascar provide safe drinking water to farmer families living in rural areas, in collaboration with local NGO San Gabriel. 4 villages in rural zones in India experienced the start of a trial project in 2013 in collaboration with local NGO Suleb International. The organization's objective across the 3 countries is aiding 200,000 beneficiaries by 2016 and 1 million by 2020. Knowing that, globally, approximately 1,800 children under the age of 5 die every day from diarrheal diseases that are directly linked to contaminated water, lack of sanitation, or inadequate hygiene. This means that every 21 seconds a child dies from a water-related illness, and that women spend 200 million hours a day collecting water. Indeed, surveys from 45 developing countries show that women and children bear the primary responsibility for water collection in the majority of households. This is time not spent working at an income-generating job, caring for family members, or attending school. How can we do to finance safety drinking water for these people? Nowadays, traditional infrastructures for purifying water into safe drinking water are still too complex and expensive to provide water at an affordable price for emerging and underdeveloped countries. Therefore, François Jaquenoud and Chay allow citizens from those countries to have access to safe drinking water at a very low price. But still, this kind of project requires $18,000. Financing it is about humanity more than money. Surprisingly, Mine une fontaine pour demain have found lots of partners and investors so far, thanks to a team dedicated to find fundraising in France. This includes many actors such as national and international financing institutions like the regional governments of Midi-Pyrénées or Île-de-France, NGOs such as UNICEF, private companies such as Veolia or Danone, and finally, individuals like you and me can donate. So how does the organization manage to convince these investors to put money in the project?
No, I think it's a generous investment in the way that they invest in a project that the impact will be for communities in a sustainable way. So what makes us different is about we have 3 main cornerstones. That is water quality. That compared to other development projects in water, we ensure the drinking water with a total quality, with regular analysis, with a safe process. We have laboratory also. After we have the accessibility and affordability of our solution, so for the poorest to be able to have access, and then the sustainability of the project. So it means if you invest now $1, it's a sustainable dollar.
Actually, investing in drinking water and sanitation is in some ways profitable. Investment in safe drinking water and sanitation contribute to economic growth. For each dollar invested, the World Health Organization estimates returns of $3 to $34, depending on the region and the technology. Healthcare savings are about $7 billion a year for health agencies and $340 million for individuals. 320 million productive days gained each year for people of working age. An extra 272 million school attendance days a year. An added 1.5 billion healthy days for children under 5 years of age. And 20 billion additional working days a year, giving a productivity payback of some $63 billion a year. And the list is long. Still, in today's world, it is hard to convince people to invest in something from which they will not get benefit directly and immediately. This is why financing institutions have created new tools. Program-related investing was pioneered in 1968 by the Ford Foundation to create an alternative to traditional grant making. What's the program-related investing's advantages? It gives access to capital at market rates that are lower than what would be available in traditional markets. Additionally, it allows to maintain a constant pool of funds to fund future projects in the long term, as opposed to a gradually draining pool of grant funding. In this way, foundations may ensure that even in difficult economic years, programs can continue to operate and new projects can be funded.